Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us on our microVISC Pro webinar today. I'd like to formally introduce my colleague Ashley Bardazal, who will be going ahead to do the microVISC Pro demo. But before that, I also want to introduce myself. My name is Grace Beck, and I've done webinars in the past, so it's been a little bit of time since I've done them, so please bear with me. But I will do a short presentation, and then right after I'll have my colleague Ashley start the live demo. So for now, you should see immediately my shared screen with the PowerPoint presentation. And I did want to confirm that this webinar will be recorded and emailed out to all of the people who have signed up. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. All right, so many of you who have signed up for the webinar and are online that I can see are already familiar with our technology, but I just wanted to really quickly touch base on essentially the math behind what VROC technology essentially, or how it works. So VROC is an acronym. It stands for viscometer, rheometer on a chip. Okay. Hi. It looks like we're having some audio technical difficulties, so let me go ahead and see. Hello, testing. 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 Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I apologize. Looks like we had a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start real quick all over again. So thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you for joining us for the microVISC Pro product launch and product demo webinar today. The hosts for the webinar will be myself, Grace, and then also my colleague Ashley. So initially I'm gonna go ahead and start with a PowerPoint presentation, a very short one, just kind of diving into the details of the new product. And then right after, I will have my colleague Ashley do the live demonstration. Just some kind of housekeeping. We will be recording this webinar, and then the webinar will be emailed to everyone who has signed up. And throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, you're welcome to refer to the right side on your GoToWebinar menu and submit any questions that you may have. And then we will do a quick Q&A session at the end of the webinar. All right, so to stay on time, I'm going to go ahead and kind of breeze through a couple of my slides. Oops. Okay, so RioSense has a patented technology that's formally been released. The company's been around since 2001, and then the technology and a lot of our previous viscometers have been around since 2009. And so I just wanted to briefly introduce VROC technology to those who may or may not be familiar with our core technology. VROC is an acronym. It stands for viscometer, rheometer on a chip. And if you see on the left side of my slide, you see a blue animated kind of cartoon drawing. And so if you see very closely, there's 4 orange squares inside. And as your sample actually flows through, it hits each of the sensors, and then the sensors will detect the change in pressure and ultimately give you the calculations of viscosity. With VROC technology, there's quite a number of benefits, but the biggest benefit that I would like to point out is the fact that our technology provides actual accurate viscosity measurements based on first principle. So all of our VROC viscometers and VROC technology just in general measures a shear rate for each, shear stress for each controlled shear rate. We get a lot of questions from people who are somewhat familiar with viscosity or have used alternative viscometers in the past. So the biggest difference I would like to point out is the fact that we can do first principle. So another benefit to VROC technology is that, especially for clients who are working with proteins, VROC technology is essentially not subject to protein or interface artifacts. And I see many of you online right now that I am familiar with, but for those of you who may be more new to the RioSense viscometer line, I did want to briefly point out our previous or our other viscometers available. So on the left side, we have VROC Initium 1 Plus. And so the capabilities of this instrument is really automated and high throughput measurements. And then on the right side, you also have MVROC 2. So MVROC 2 is our second generation. As mentioned earlier, we've had products out since about 2009. And so we've actually had a previous version of the MVROC, which is essentially our cult classic. And the MVROC 2 was formally released in 2023 as a revamp or kind of the second generation of MVROC 1. And officially this year, I would like to really proudly present the new product, microVISC Pro. So our engineers and our product development team have really spent a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears to really get this product out. And so microVISC Pro is going to essentially be the second generation of microVISC. For many of you who are familiar with the microVISC, it is a portable viscometer. The color is actually orange, and you can still see it on our website. The product will still be available. However, the old microVISC, which I will go into more detail too, will not have some of the capabilities that you'll see today with the microVISC Pro. So on the screen is a new product, and again, you'll see this in live in just a couple of minutes. Some benefits and features that I do want to go into. So the biggest thing, especially for me, is that you do not need to clean in between miscible samples. To be very honest with you, this is nothing new with VROC technology, because VROC technology, technically you don't need to clean between miscible samples. But with the microVISC Pro, we're really trying to help educate our client base. You know, even with here, as you can see, the process of running a DI water or distilled water as a viscosity standard, and then measuring various samples that are, again, completely miscible, you actually do not technically need to clean in between multiple runs. So this is just a set of data that really emphasizes the benefit. And as I mentioned earlier, I see a lot of customers on here. So for customers who are, you know, interested in getting this done, but have a lot of samples to measure or don't really have the time to check if they want to establish new cleaning protocols with the new microVISC Pro, you can actually work with us. We provide that service now. And then some of you guys are already familiar as well that we do sample testing. So if you're curious to see if the instrument will work with your samples, that's another service that we can provide. And then similar to not having to clean in between samples, we also have continual sample testing. So they're kind of tied together, but I just wanted to depict here with the data that you can do continual sample testing and essentially do fast screening. So I kind of revealed that in the past, you know, we had microVISC, and then now we have microVISC Pro. As mentioned again, the microVISC will not be discontinued, but there will be some minor changes to the old microVISC. So the old microVISC will no longer have temperature control capabilities. However, for our end users that already know, the microVISC still has a VROC chip that has a temperature sensor inside, so it will still give you the ambient temperature. However, with the new microVISC Pro, we now have a built-in temperature control capability. So this is something that we are extremely excited about. It will save your lab space, and then you can also do temperatures now between 15 to 60 degrees Celsius. So the temperature range is a bit wider compared to the old microVISC with the temperature control accessory that used to come with the microVISC. Other than that, we have now a built-in display which is fully touchscreen. And then we also proudly boast that the software is now 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. So microVISC Pro and also microVISC in the past has been very frequently used or adapted by quality control departments and then other like GMP lab setting type of environments. And so the 21 CFR Part 11 will be now capable or available with the microVISC Pro. One additional thing that you can do also with the microVISC Pro is to export the data directly through USB through the instrument. And then with the old microVISC, there was an optional software that you can export through Excel and PDF. And there's a couple more items, but we'll go ahead, and I just wanted to also mention the similarities between the microVISC and the microVISC Pro. So for people who are used to the microVISC, you do not need to compromise the consumables, as you can see on this table. So the disposable pipettes will be the same, the lint-free wipes and the lint-free swabs we also recommend as well. And then sample size, you'll still require about 100 microliters. And then again, with VROC technology that measures first principle, you can also still handle non-Newtonian samples with microVISC Pro. microVISC Pro will also be compatible with the chip cleaning station, so that is an add-on that's still possible. It is an additional accessory. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I will go ahead and turn on my webcam. Let me just make sure. All right, so everyone should now see the shared webcam, and I'm gonna go ahead and hand it off to my colleague, Ashley.
Hi everyone, as Grace mentioned, I'm Ashley and I will be leading the demo of the microVISC Pro. As you can see here, we have our brand new microVISC Pro in front of us. Here is where the Peltier is, right where the chip is, so much easier to use than the old microVISC where it was in a box. We also have new chips that look similar to, if you're familiar, the MVR2 chips. So they look like this, and they're easy to switch in and out. So if you have multiple chips, as easy as just clicking it in like that, and then you can close that. So first off, of course, for any demo, we need to load our sample. As Grace mentioned, we're using the same exact pipettes that you use for the microVISC, if you're familiar with those. If you're not, these are our disposable pipettes. They're easy to use and they hold about 400 microliters of sample. So to load your sample, you're just going to assemble that pipette, place it in the vial, and pull up the sample. And then once you've pulled up your sample, you'll just go ahead and remove that. As Grace mentioned, we're using microfluidics, so we don't want a bubble in our sample. So you can see I did load a bubble. We're not all perfect, and so easy to just remove that bubble. This one, since it's so low viscosity, it just floats to the top. We do have techniques as well to remove bubbles for higher viscosity that we can go over at a different time. So for this one, I'll just tip it up so bubble goes to the front, Please note, I'm using a lint-free wipe. Again, we're using microfluidics. We don't want any lint in our channel. So we don't recommend using other types of wipes that may have lint. We really recommend making sure you use these lint-free wipes. And so then you're just gonna push out the bubble there until you see a bit of your sample come out. And here we go. Now we have no bubble and we are ready to test. So to load it, you're just gonna open up this latch. You're gonna place in the inlet of the chip, the syringe, push down this button and push in the syringe. So very simple to load, an easy, quick process. Now you're gonna close this to keep the temperature control stable. And at this point, we're ready to test. That's all you have to do. So you're gonna hit automatic. And so automatic is for, hey, I don't know what the sample is. I don't really know the viscosity. I don't know what shear rate or flow rate to pick. That's okay, we've done it for you. This is what we think of as one button operation. You load it, you're gonna hit start. This instrument's gonna pick the best parameters to test your sample at. So all you're choosing is how many repeats. So say I wanna do 3 repeats. I'm gonna put 3 here. Now it will test my sample 3 separate times. This is a flow through design, right? So it will push about 100 microliters through, pause, then do it again. So you don't have to sit here, keep on hitting start for all your repeats. You also can choose a temperature. So right now I have it set at 25 degrees Celsius. Down here, you'll see there is some chip information about, hey, your chip, this is the ideal viscosity range to use this chip for, what temperatures, what max particle size. It even tells you your last sample run in your chip, which is a really nice feature, so you can make sure that the next sample you're running is missable. Maybe someone else used the chip last. Now you can see, oh, hey, this is what's in the chip. This is what they used to clean. So once you're ready to go, you'll go ahead and hit start. Now, if it's your first time running the pipette, it will ask, hey, what's in the pipette, right? And so you're gonna type in that sample name. And that's how we are able to, list, hey, what was run last? This is also make sure it's CFR 21 compliant. It's gonna list your sample name. You're gonna go ahead and hit start, and it brings us to the sample testing screen.
And I just wanted to briefly add while we're watching the measurement that what you see here right now is a little different from what you saw in my presentation. Obviously, we actually removed the housing just for this webinar, so you can kind of see how the inside guts really look and what the instrument will, which parts are moving as it's doing the measurement.
So right now we can see the plunger was detected. So now I don't need to type in, say, how much volume I loaded into the pipette. We have calibrated this pump precisely, so we know how much is in your pipette based on where the pump is. And so it has detected the end of the plunger. Now we're waiting 60 seconds while we soak that sample at our 25 degrees Celsius. So anytime you're running temperature, we want to make sure your sample is that temperature that you're hoping to test at. So we're going to hold it at 25C for 60 seconds. So you get a nice countdown on here so that you know, hey, okay, this is about to run in 20 seconds here. As we wait, we can start familiarize ourselves with the screen. You get a lot of really good information here. You can see on our right here, this is what's going to give you your live viscosity data. So you're going to see things like, what is the viscosity at an instantaneous moment? What is that R squared full percent full scale? That's going to tell you, hey, how much pressure is in the chip. You might have heard us say, hey, we want that percent full scale between 5 and 95%. We want enough pressure for a good reading. We don't want too much pressure. So right here, our real-time readings have actually started. You can see I'm measuring about a 2.2, 2.3 centipoid sample, and here it is reading out that viscosity. Right now it's priming. So since we don't know anything about your sample, we are going to prime to figure out, hey, what is that best shear rate to test your sample at? We also have real-time graphs. So if you'd rather watch this in graph form rather than in number form, you can go ahead and click here and see the viscosity measurement in real time. So you can see kind of the priming data, a little bit of air, and then it goes on and takes my measurement. So here we go. We got that nice transient curve. It moves up. And then the green is where we're actually taking our measurement. We're making sure we're in steady state, and then we go ahead and take that measurement. So now we will run that third measurement. Remember, we told it to do 3 repeats. After it does those 3 repeats, it will automatically average the 3 for you and read it out on the side. We also will have each individual data point saved, and I'll show you how to look at that in a second. So as we can see, we got an average number right there, about 2 centipoise, and we can see that in graph form here. Yeah, so this is a nice table. This is going to give you those viscosity points for 1, 2, and 3 repeats, your full scale, shear rate, shear stress. You can sort your data. As Grace mentioned, this is CFR 21 compliant, meaning it's going to save your data. It's not like the old microVISC where it will override your data. And so you can actually go back and look at all other data that you've ever taken. And that's why we give you these nice sort features here, so that you can sort through all that data. And then you can actually export it as well. And then it will go to the thumb drive where you export it, and then you can take that thumb drive and upload the CSV file to your computer. So let's say you've run this measurement and now you want to look at different shear rates. For this one, it picked a shear rate of 3,671 inverse seconds, which is a flow rate of 200.8 microliters per minute. So let's say now I'm like, hey, is this Newtonian, non-Newtonian? The way I answer that is by varying shear rates, right? And so to do that, we're going to go back and we're going to go to what we call fixed rate, where you get to decide either your flow rate or shear rate and tell the system what to measure. So here you can decide if you want to enter in your flow or shear rate. What's nice is the system will actually convert between the two. You can also put in your number of segments, just like auto mode. And just like auto mode, you can choose if your temperature control is on and at what temperature. And you get all that handy dandy chip information. You also have some more control. So you can even choose things like wait time, measurement, pause time if you're a more advanced user. So let's go ahead and start this. And you will notice it didn't ask for a sample name. That's because it knows it's the same pipette, and so it knows it's still the same sample. So again, we can watch the text be done in real time using these real-time graphs. Then we're already done with those 2 segments. As you can see, it took maybe a minute to get those 2 data points, so very quick. At this point, let's say, hey, I want to switch out my sample. You can go ahead and remove this pipette, even if you haven't used all your sample volume, which we have not, by clicking this arrow button. Then you click yes, and it will go ahead and move the pump back, and we can safely remove the pipette. So at this point, we can unlatch this and then unlatch our pipette. And that's how you go ahead and remove the pipette. You might have noticed I have a waste container down here. That is where your waste is going to. So really easy to say, oh, my waste is getting full. Let me just pour it into as waste. So pretty simple design. You even have a waste detector on here, and so it will tell you, hey, waste present. That's what that second green light's showing you. You have your cover closed, if your plunger's detected, as well as if your temperature is steady. And so you get a lot of good information just on this one screen. So next, I will real quick show you how cleaning. Cleaning mode's a bit more advanced on the microVISC Pro compared to the microVISC, or if you haven't seen our instruments before, you can kind of understand how easy it is to clean at, say, the end of the day when you're done with testing.
So as Ashley is doing this, I just wanted to mention this is kind of the home page or the home screen. So there's a variety of features that you can do with the microVISC Pro.
Yeah, as Grace mentioned, this is where we're going to get to those different modes, but also you can view all that data. You can even get that nice temperature graph of what your temperature's at. Of course, mine's at 25C. You can control it from that page as well. We even have a whole settings page. You can even switch from dark to light mode if you would rather do light mode. You can run a chip test. You can look at errors and warnings. There's a lot of handy features in here as well. So we'll go ahead and load the pipette for cleaning and then go into cleaning mode. So we have a few different modes. We have low, medium, and high, which are meant to clean out various viscosities. We also have quick mode that will just dispense your pipette for a quick, easy clean. We have enzymatic cleaning if you need to do a deep clean, as well as a custom button as well. So a lot more options on here for easy cleaning. So I'm going to go ahead and do quick. I'm going to click start. I'm going to click IPA and hit start. So this is what you would do at the end of the day to just clean out your chip. You can see basically the way we clean is the same way we test, but we've made it into an easy mode, so you don't have to keep on clicking the test button. We do always read out the viscosity while we're cleaning, and that's so you can kind of see, hey, I expect my cleaning solvent to be 2 centipoise. It's reading 2 centipoise. That's a good sign, right? If it was reading 10 centipoise, you might still have some sample in there and you need to do another pipette of cleaning.
So as we're cleaning, I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, you know, as Ashley mentioned, you could do it towards the end of the day or the end of your runs. Again, if they're completely missable, you technically do not need to clean in between, and you can just do sample after sample. This is just due to the rectangular slit method. We're formally actually listed under US Pharmacopoeia under Chapter 914. It can be what some of our customers say equivalent to Chapter 911. And so that's kind of where, you know, the quality control or the GMP lab settings really can benefit from using this viscometer.
One question I get asked a lot is how do I verify that my chip and my viscometer is working correctly? And what we always recommend is those NIST viscosity standards. Those are going to come with a certificate that says, hey, at 25C, this is 10 centipoise. You can then run it on the microVISC Pro with that built-in temperature control, select 25C, run the standard, you see it reads 10, you know your viscometer is performing correctly and reading correct. There's no calibration before you need to run a sample. You just can do a quick check. And then we do recommend once a year sending it back for calibration in-house. So it's just finishing up cleaning here. As you can see, cleaning is relatively quick and also hands-free. So most of the time when I'm cleaning, I go walk away and do something else and come back when it's finished. So I see we have a question about connecting the microVISC Pro to a laptop to use it. And no, you do not need a laptop actually. It's all here on the screen I'm showing you. This comes with every microVISC Pro purchase and is installed. You will run the software using this tablet, which is really nice because I'm constantly moving around my instrument. I know laptops sometimes, you know, hard to come by. And so you run everything here. You can have that thumb drive, USB drive on the back. That's how you export everything and then load it onto whatever computer. So for the amount of sample, spec-wise, it's 100 microliters per test. And so you could get 4 or 5 tests with a pipette. Sometimes it doesn't even take a full 100 microliters. So you might get even more than those 4 or 5 tests with a full pipette of just 400 microliters. So we have a question that reads, is there any option for continuous loading sample? We don't have a way to automatically load this pipette, but if you're interested in automated viscosity testing, I would recommend you check out our Initium 1 Plus, which is our automated viscometer that will automatically pick up your sample, load it in the test syringe, test, clean, and then pick up your next sample. So I have a question on consumables. The pipettes are really the main consumable, of course, also the lint-free wipes. Pipettes run at about $1.50 to $2 a pipette, and you don't even have to throw away the pipette after one test, right? I refilled the same pipette because I was using the same sample. And so per a measurement, your cost is even less than that. So we have a question if organic solvents are compatible with the wetted material. Yes, they are. The only thing we can't run in our system is HF, but no issue with organic materials.
And then I can take this one. But one of the questions is, do you guys have SOPs or standard of operation procedures to test proteins? And I would say short answer is yes. I'm actually going to mention this in a couple more minutes, but we will be hosting an end user forum. And so we will be sharing a long list of SOPs that we technically have that our customers are already, well, they already have access to, but they can use and utilize to implement into their internal processes.
So we have a question about transferring data directly to USB. And yes, so USBs are actually plugged into the back of this instrument. And then you can go ahead and go view data and then actually click export pipette data to CSV. And then your data is automatically saved to that USB, and then you can attach it to your computer.
There's a question that says, can the system be used for inherent viscosity measurements for polymer molecular weight analysis? I would say it's probably possible. Long term, we're working to be able to export the data into what we call our software clarity. And I think once we have that capability, you'd be able to kind of analyze a little bit easier. So I would say short answer is yes, but I would wait until it's compatible with Clarity or get the instrument and then get Clarity within a couple of weeks or months. And then, okay. So before, some of the questions are pertaining to our end user form, so I'm going to briefly share my screen and kind of talk in detail about the end user form. So give me 1 second. Let me just make sure everyone can see it. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. So as mentioned just now, the end user forum is going to take place here near our office in San Ramon, California. we normally host the event at kind of a nearby venue called Roundhouse, and it's a great opportunity for you to come join us. We'll have all of our global partners from around the world, as well as end users. We have particular speakers. So we have Dr. Shamshir, I guess, from Kraft Heinz. He's one of our great customers who use the VROC Initiative 1 Plus. And then we have another client, Jörg from Stratum. And so he will also be giving a talk as well. He's one of our other great end users that utilized MVROC in the past, and then as well as microVISC. So you'll be able to network with our other end users, and then also get a chance to meet with our awesome R&D team. You can get some personalized guidance. You can even bring your sample if you want us to take a look at it. And so the date of the end user forum is April 8th and 9th, 2025. And then as mentioned again, it is in San Ramon. If you are interested, we have the URL here, and then we will also send you the link to sign up once we have the webinar recording completed. All right. So one of the other questions that I had was, regarding first principle, do you guys get true viscosity? I would say yes, it is true viscosity. I'm not sure if I read the question correctly, but feel free to chime into the question box if I did not.
Yeah, and just to build off of Grace, is we are giving true viscosity. If it's a non-Newtonian sample, we do have to do something called the WRM correction to get true viscosity. Our Clarity software actually does that automatically. But if you're more curious about, hey, how does this WRM correction work? What is it? We have a few webinars on it, and I'm happy to send them to you guys.
All right.
Yes, so we have a question about measuring at different temperatures with the same pipette, and you can absolutely do that. So we could go into even just auto mode and say we want 2 repeats at each temperature. You could put in 2, you could put temperature at 20, go ahead and start, then go back, switch it to 25, then go back, switch it to 30, all with that same pipette. If you're looking to automate that process, say I don't want to go back and type in 25, 30, 35, our other products, the Initium 1 Plus and the MVROC 2, let you do that automatically. So we have a question kind of about the CFR 21 about if we can give different kind of levels to different users, and the answer is yes. You have login accounts, so each user would have their own username and password, and you can set them as admin level or user level to give a sense of, hey, this person has these privileges to change these, and these people do not. And so we do have those 2 different levels. You can also, of course, keep your account private.
There's a question, is the microVISC Pro portable? The short answer is yes, and there is an optional external battery that you could attach to the instrument and then use it, which will help enhance the portability. There's a question on, can you add like lot number and sample name? Right now, I would probably say you can add the lot number to the sample line. Yeah, we try to make the screen as minimal as possible. So I recommend, the short answer is yes, you can, but instead of adding custom fields, I recommend just putting the sample and then like a lot name directly on the sample, so that when you're exporting the data or when you're reviewing the data, it's easy to view.
Yeah, you have lots of room to type into that sample name column.
All right. So we'll give it maybe 5 more minutes for more questions. We've got quite a lot of questions already, so if there are questions that we could not get to you, we'll have our account reps reach out individually, and then you're welcome to ask more questions as well. As mentioned, again, please come check us out for the end user forum. We will have the microVISC Pro available live, so if you want to kind of play around with it, touch it, it would be a really great opportunity. And then again, our R&D team, our experts, will be available so you can help, get questions answered, including even protocol development.
We have a question about a list of chips available to see their viscosity range, and we absolutely have that. So we could send that over where you can see, hey, like right now I have an AO5, which we say is between 0.3 and 80. We have other chips good for other viscosity ranges. And then for solvent compatibility, they all are compatible with all solvents except HF. So there's no difference between the different chips on that part.
And then as Ashley pointed out, so I kind of wanted to just repeat, when you have the chip type even on the instrument, if you have a lot of different end users or you have a variety of samples and you're not quite sure, the microVISC Pro will give you a guidance on the chip information live, and so you can get the full viscosity range of what you can run with that chip.
So we're getting lots of compatibility questions, and again, to highlight, we can test organic, non-organic solvents, no issue, any type of sample. Our only limitation is going to be particle size. We actually do list that on the chip information, and if you have more questions about particle size, you can reach out and we can give you more in-depth about your sample and would it be compatible. But usually our highest is about 30 to 50 microns.
And then kind of adding to the previous question on SOPs, we actually do have a really well-written application note just on solvent compatibility. So if you're interested, you can ask for that. We do kind of have a formal document, even though, as Ashley mentioned, pretty much anything will really work. All right, so we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Just wanna thank everyone for their time again.
And if you guys think of other questions here in a few minutes, you can always shoot us an email, go on our chat bot online. There's a few ways to contact us and we'd be happy to answer those questions. So we have a question if you can get this recording so you can look at it in the future, and absolutely. Once we get the recording from GoToWebinar, Grace will send it out and you will have this recording that you can rewatch every day if you want to.
Yeah, so the recording roughly will be ready by this coming Friday. And then we will definitely send everyone here who has joined us today. And then also those, we do have a lot of clients who are, could not make it today, especially because of the time zone. So we will definitely be emailing the recording as well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all so much for your time today. And then if you have any questions, as soon as you get the recording, you're welcome to respond to that email. Or as Ashley mentioned, we even have a chat bot on our website to make it a lot easier to reach us. And then we really hope to see some of you guys at the end user forum in about 2 weeks.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.